Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Michael Vanderpool, intuitive astrologer and also author of Storm Warning for Israel Spring Summer 2007, in which on March 18th, 2007, I wrote a 28-page ebook report that was published to eBay and to my website, omsh.net, and had accurately forecast that summer's war that took place in Israel, as well as the fact that it ended in signatories August 1st, 2007, exactly as the book had forecasted. In this video, I'm going to talk about an astrological heads-up for January and February 2012, and the astrology of war. Some weeks ago, in fact, to be exact, November 25th, 2011 on Facebook, I had posted that the ancients in astrology, ancient astrologers have, on days where Mars trines, it's 120 degrees, applying to the sun in the sky above, they saw that as a possible day of war, as often it was a day of war. And so the ancient astrologers would tell the kings, often they were also priests of the day, that days when Mars would trine the sun are a possible day of war. Well, in modern Magi, that's M-A-G-I, astrology, we also understand that when Mars trines Chiron, or possibly even conjuncts Chiron, or the Earth-Moon complex as seen in the heliocentric chart, that it can also be a day of war. So on November 25th, 2012, I posted this explanation to Facebook, and that we see a Mars trine Sun coming up January 9th to January 12th, thus affecting possibly January 8th to about January 15th or 16th in possible effect in terms of that warlike energy. Later, on December 5th, at Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia time, where I'm currently at, it is about 10 hours ahead of Central Standard Time in the United States. So, on December 4th, U.S. time, December 5th, Tbilisi time, I put on Facebook, after awakening, and it really came strongly to mind that what if it's Syria? That war breaks out in Syria with the West, basically, or NATO, or a new regime change coming in there, and basically maybe pushing the Russians out, or attempting to push the Russians out of that area. And I'm speaking about Syria. And in any case, it was just a contemplation that maybe this is what that astrology could mean. And what if? So what if also, not only that it's Syria that this war involves or starts in, a major military conflict, if you will, but also it would involve Assad. So I looked at Assad's chart, and in my view of Magi astrology, looking at his chart, he's losing power in a very interesting time. This is my perspective, an astrological perspective. And if such a war would start in the mid-January window, it's my opinion that it would probably likely, with great probability, end between February 23rd, or more likely 24th, to sometime in the window of time on up till about March 13th or March 16th. And why do I say that? Because in that window of time, the planet Jupiter will trine Pluto. And it almost always means that we see a stabilization or a maintaining of the markets, or an increase or rising up of all the markets when that happens. Now, I made a video about this astrological phenomenon in the last astrological heads up for September, October, astrological heads up and surprise, I called it, September, October 2011, about that very same phenomenon. Because in October, on October 7th, we saw October 2012, we saw on the 7th Jupiter trine Pluto. And 3 days later, it was reported in the IBT, International Business Times, that the stock markets and risk markets even, all across the board, they basically had overall rose. Typical of what happens when Jupiter trines Pluto. And it was stating that this was because of the news of French President Sarkozy and Germany's Merkel had mentioned a solution to the euro crisis. And so on that news, the markets were conjectured to have gone up for that reason. But they did indeed go up all across the board. So we're going to see this type of planetary alignment, this very powerful Jupiter trine Pluto, again February 24 to March 13. So basically it can affect February 23rd into about March 16th or so. And therefore, because I see that the markets will go up with great probability, February 24 with a very powerful grand trine for a very short period happening at the beginning of that, and then a very powerful grand trine happening at the end of that period, it leads me to believe that if indeed, with great probability, there is a war that breaks out, or military intervention as they now call it these days in some media, that it would, with great probability, be over and finished in that February 24 to March 16 window. Because simply, with great probability, the markets will go up. There will be not just one grand trine that begins that period of time between February 24 to March 13, but there will be a grand trine that starts in the latter part of that Jupiter trine Pluto window that ends that period as well. That, coupled with the fact that I see that Assad is losing power in that window of time with great probability, it's my feeling that if war comes quickly, it would be in the mid-January window, but it would also be a fast and furious conflict, which would, with great probability, end in the February 23rd to March 16th window. So, in closing, a few comments. My last astrological heads-up for May-June 2011, I made a comment about the date of May 5th and about tensions between East and West at that time. And I published that first to my Facebook, I believe it was April 18th. And later in a YouTube audio, a video here on YouTube. And indeed, several weeks later, you can call it the UN or 22 member nation states and so on, along with U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and others, met in Rome over the tensions between East and West and the situation regarding Libya at that time, as I understood from the news that I read, because that's my only source on the matter. In any case, there was news articles that verified that fact, and so therefore I was down to the day accurate once again on that prediction as well. So in this case, of course, this is an astrological heads up on January and February 2012. The astrology of war, question mark, and it's the what if question that I woke up with after analyzing this astrology in the skies using Magi astrology and thinking about the situation, reading various news media from around the world. And again, I'm a member of the American Press Association, and I'm registered as a journalist through them. And so this is something that I've seen from various media in terms of different news. But when it comes to the astrology, sometimes we have to cast various news aside, and that's what I had done back in March 18 of 2007 when I wrote a storm warning for Israel, spring summer 2007. Because at that time there was a lot of talk about in the media about how there would be war between Israel and Iran and things like this and so on and so forth, and I went ahead and wrote what I wrote, and I was pretty down to the day and within the down to the week accurate on my astrological analysis and prediction then. I will at the end of this video put in the brief paragraphs that I wrote and posted to Facebook December 5th, and again reposting later, because I added in the notice of the Saturn opposition Jupiter, which in Magi astrology is called a nuclear clash. It's basically you're going to have to agree to just simply disagree. In the heliocentric sky, it is the same type of nuclear clash, however, that we did see the Fukushima accident happen in the last window that we saw that. I believe it was last March, and I had posted then on my Facebook about that, and we saw that type of disaster happen. So in this particular case, I'm not feeling that whether this is going to involve something to that extent or not, but I would say that it makes the atmosphere, the energy, a very clashing, explosive, if you will, but simply in the way that it's very hard to come to agreements in such a period and under such an energy. And it peaks out. This energy is in the sky now, and I'm making this video on December 28th, 2011, here in Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia. And this nuclear clash, which is Saturn opposition Jupiter, transit peaks out January 9th, I believe it is, of 2012. So in about a week and a half that happens, and that happens to be about right in that window when Mars is trine the Sun, and around the 10th or so, then Saturn comes in the heliocentric sky, and I believe it's squaring the Earth-Moon complex. So overall, of course, it would be nice if I'm wrong on my analysis and my heads up, and it's a peaceful time. However, with great probability, we could see intense, fast, and furious war in that period, starting around that time. And however, I do think that Assad's losing power. I think it's going to happen in the February 24 to March 13, 16 window of time, and I think the markets are going to go back up. I think that the question of whether it will involve other nations or which nations and so on, I've been asked that personally by people that know me and that know that I've had a successful track record of past predictions, both public and private, down to the day accurate in some cases, over both positive events and less fortunate and events such as death and accidents and things like that. And I am really not coming to any other conclusions at this time other than it was my what-if question regarding Syria and the window of time ahead. So, in closing, you can check me out at my website at http://universalstar.gs, or you can visit my eBay store at OMSH, that's O-M-S-H, Books and Services. And for those of you that are seeing me on Facebook, thanks for your support and your encouragement. You know who you are. Much love and many blessings to you in this holiday season. And for those people that are disturbed by this news, I have had and made positive videos, and the last October window was positive in the sense that Jupiter trine Pluto is a very positive time to, in astrological theory, to start bank accounts, to start new businesses, to make reform and remake your life, reforms, remaking your life. It's a great time for that. It's a success energy. It's a very positive energy. This is kind of a mixed thing when I talk about the astrology of war and then talk about the astrology of big business success or success in general, or reforming and remaking your life. But that is the positive part of it. And that's why I personally do not see at this time world war or world conflict at this time. I don't see it. Now, I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. I'm very aware of the Enoch prophecies. I'm a big student. I can say big. I'm probably actually a small student. I have so much more to learn about the Meyer case, Billy Edward Albert Meyer's UFO case out of Switzerland, and the contact notes, and I've been studying that for some years now. I actually read the book And Still They Fly here in Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia, where I got the book for the first time. I think it was late 2005 or early 2006. And I have another video up about the Silent Revolution of Truth. I thought it was a great documentary. It's also now under another name, another title, but it's a very important film. And for those of you that want to learn more about spiritual things, I would highly recommend that. Actually, it's a good place to start, and it's one of the best sources of material and information I've ever come across. In my opinion, the introduction to the spiritual teachings have been absolutely amazing, and those are teachings that I've been contemplating and studying for quite some time now, quite independently, outside of just reading and studying, quite independently, and they're very empowering. So, in any case, thanks for watching, and again, I have quite a good track record of accurate predictions privately. Publicly, I've had at least 2 that have been published to the internet before they've happened. I hope that I'm wrong this time, really. There's nothing pleasant, I think, about situations where there's the prediction for the possibility or the great probability of very horrific events. However, I make no apologies in pointing out that it is the way that the ancients have done it, and I hope that we will pass through this time in peace, but I don't think that's going to happen. All indications point to a war or military intervention or conflict in the world. And that's why I'm pointing out that there's a Mars trine Sun in the sky coming up mid-January, because I'm in an area where a lot of people have concerns about that kind of thing, some personal friends, and I myself, as an international traveler, as someone who has lived abroad in well over 14, or traveled abroad in well over 14 countries, and been for long-term visits in at least 5 different countries. It concerns me as well. So in studying this, analyzing this, and at times being very gifted with insight into these kind of things, I'm making this video, and of course, as always, for entertainment purposes only. However, take note that it's documented public fact that I've been down to the day accurate before in some of my predictions. So, thanks for watching. If you're watching me on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And again, you can see me at http://universalstar.gs. And happy holidays. This is December 28, 2011, and I'm in Tbilisi, the Republic of Georgia, at the time that I'm making this video. Thanks again.